Cheers, everybody. Welcome back to Bourbon on a Budget. This is our fourth episode, boys. Fourth of the main show. Fourth week doing this. Myself, TJ Pittenger, Brendan Sonnone, Ben Cock. We're going to jump right into it because we've got an exciting episode and we're going to get right to the point tonight. We appreciate the reviews, the follows, the likes on Instagram, Twitter, iTunes, YouTube. It's all Bourbon on a Budget. Search it, and we'd appreciate you following us there. We'll go around the horn real quick because we're going to jump into a really exciting episode tonight. Brendan, Ben, what are you guys drinking tonight? How you doing?
Cheers. Hello. I am drinking Maker's Mark Cask Strength. Ben started drinking it like a week ago. I said, I'm going to open up mine. I hadn't tried it before. It's phenomenal. So thank you, Ben, for encouraging me to open it up and enjoy it.
You're welcome. Hashtag thank you, Costco. I am drinking a bottle of Old Tub Jim Beam Release. Previously only available at the distillery, and now they've decided to go ahead and start selling it bottled in bond.
I am on. Brendan and I were on the phone this morning early. We were having awkward conversations before 8:30 this morning. We started talking about Henry McKenna and have a lot of different thoughts and conversations around that will be in a later episode, but it kind of made me want to try it tonight. And so here we are drinking that.
Guys both did bottle and bond without me. I could have pulled out a bottle and bond.
You have cask strength.
You
no
win.
Complaints.
Yeah, you win. Ben, love the background. I'll say that before we get going. Ben's got they're adding a fifth suite onto Ben's house, and so there's some construction going on, so he's got to be here for the evening. But I like the bar. I like the bar's look. We have a fun episode. If you're watching this, if you're listening, if you could rate us 5 stars, if you could subscribe on iTunes, we'd appreciate it. But let's jump right into it. This episode's the starter pack. That's the name of the episode, is the starter pack. We had a challenge this week who set this forward? Did Brendan start this? Did Ben start this?
It was Ben's idea. I think I perfected it, but Ben thought of it first.
So pick and roll, little pick and roll with you guys. I'm just sitting over here in the corner like a loser. The assignment was, if you had $100 bill, if a new person into bourbon had $100 bill, what 4 bottles would you tell them to go buy with that $100 bill to start off their bourbon journey? We've talked about how Ben brought 4 bottles over to my house the first time that I ever started bourbon. I'm trying to think about like the price point on those things. It was probably pretty close to about $100. It may have been slightly over. I'm thinking about the prices of them now. It may be like $120 on those 4 bottles that Ben brought over. So we have a little competition, gentlemen, where we each came up with separate lists, and we are going to have a battle royale. We're going to have a duel where we present our lists, we present our arguments, and then we vote on it internally. You can't vote for yourself. Us 3 vote on who had the best list, and then we're going to open it up to the people that have listened, see who has the best list overall. So we will eventually crown a champion, which I'm sure will be me, but excited to go through a starter pack list. The idea was if a new person had $100 to spend on bourbon and you were going to say, hey, go buy these 4 bottles, what would those be? We're going to let Brendan start off with this. Brendan perfected the idea. Ben came up with the idea, so he'll finish. I'll go in the middle. Brendan, start us off.
All right. I did perfect this idea. First one for me. So real quick, I'm assuming that as I make these recommendations to someone, that they have at least, so they're new to bourbon, right? But they have like a baseline idea of like liquor. Like they're like alcohol burn isn't going to be a huge issue. Maybe they're not drinking it neat right now. Maybe they've done it with like mixed drinks and done a little bit on the rocks. But so they're transitioning to become like hardcore aficionado of bourbon. That's what they want to accomplish. You want to drink out of a Glencairn eventually. Be snobby about it. So this is how you get started on it. First one for me. This is Evan Williams 1783. It is maybe $15, max 20, but probably not. Probably $15 to $17. So we're starting off really nice and cheap, which is going to help me out on the back end of this. So not a lot of proof. I think it's only 80 proof, but I picked it because it's a little thin. However, the notes on it, it is a classic bourbon. I'm going to pull up the distiller professional review here. They call it a great entry-level bourbon. they say, quote unquote, if a street artist sketched a caricature of what bourbon is supposed to be, you'd get this whiskey. There is a Market Square Liquors is both a lounge. They have a nice, like, really cool bar by me, and they have a nice selection of liquor as well, obviously, because it's a liquor store. The old guys who go and frequent there get this as their second bourbon all the time. They start off with something really nice and fancy. They pop open some cigars, and then, after they have their nice expensive drink, they turn to this one. It's an absolute hero for $15. Like, it's really good, basic budget bourbon. It's not going to be offensive to you at all. So I think it's a nice starter one. Next one for me, we go with Maker's Mark, just the basic Maker's Mark. It's going to be about $24 to maybe $26. Sometimes at my ABC, you can get it on sale for like $20. It's not going to be anything fancy, but it's going to be really pleasant. It's an introductory whiskey into wheated bourbons. All right. So that's going to be kind of cool. And also you get into the Maker's Mark line too. And they have a lot of great stuff, including the cast strength I'm enjoying right now. So I like it. I think it gets kind of a bad rap sometimes because it's so readily available. You can get it anywhere. People think it's going to be kind of cheap or whatnot. But if I go over to someone's house, they offered me, and my wife at her previous place of employment, they had a Christmas party. Guy there's a big bourbon buff, but he had Maker's Mark out there. Not offended at all. It's a really nice bourbon, easily accessible, both as a drinker and like actually buying it to get it anywhere. Next up, Gentleman Jack for $27-ish, maybe $29 or so. That's what I saw that today, 29. But I've seen it also like an ABC with like a nice little glass that you can get with it as well for $27. I don't love Gentleman Jack, but I will say when I first started off on the bourbon collecting, and technically it's not bourbon, it's a Tennessee whiskey, but it's bourbon. It's just really mellow. Do you disagree? Is this going to count against me, Ben?
Does it say bourbon on it?
Let's just say here, Tennessee whiskey is bourbon. All right, they just do their little charcoal mellow
Filtering, right?
Crap and just try to say no. It's bourbon for all intents and purposes. It's super easy to drink. It's one of the smoothest bourbons out there. They do that intentionally. It's supposed to be just very, very accessible. Again, not super complex, but you're going to get that classic Jack Daniels, like bananas, Foster kind of nose on it. So it's interesting. It's nice. It's nothing fancy, but it's got a nice, cool bottle, easily accessible, like I said, and really, really, really easy to drink. And something like if you have company come over, if they're not super into bourbon, this is going to be intimidating at all. It's going to be as friendly as a bourbon will get, while still like not being harsh or stringent or anything like some of the cheaper bourbons can be. Finally, I'm just going to go with Woodford Reserve, another classic bourbon, $30 or so. It's right down home plate. Woodford Reserve does a lot of other cool stuff as well. You kind of entry level into the double oaked, which is another good one for someone that's fairly new into their bourbon journey. Their wheated one apparently is amazing. Their malted one is kind of funky and cool. So they have a lot of cool stuff. This is a nice entry level one. It's into the Brown Foreman line as well. So you kind of get used to some of the stuff with both Woodford and I believe Old Forester as well. So that's my 4. I feel like that's a pretty strong lineup to start off with. TJ?
Bourbon heavy. I got a couple questions, a couple follow-ups here. We're going to banter a little bit about yours before we jump into mine. What was your Jack price, or what did you find Jack for? Gentleman Jack.
Yeah, Gentleman Jack, $27 is what I have it at. I could say between 27 and 29 probably.
Okay, and then what was your Woodford? I didn't.
30. Oh, sorry, I don't think I said it. $30.
$30. So I'm looking real quick. 57, 71. You're a little under.
I'm under budget. Yeah, so I should get extra points for that when we're determining who wins.
Yeah, probably not. You should have. You didn't complete the assignment. I believe there's like a parable about that in the Bible. So you held back some of your talents. Biblical jokes in here. All right. I like how bourbon heavy yours is. I can guarantee you Ben's is going to be a little different. I guarantee Ben's going to have some rise in his. I may have one in mine. I don't know, but yours was very bourbon heavy. So before he gives you too hard of a time with your Gentleman Jack Tennessee whiskey, he's going to get into some rye, and I am too. So I like your list. Ben, what are your immediate impressions of Brendan's list here?
I thought it was, second to only my list. So
Second
yeah.
or third. You haven't heard.
Yeah. Or third, whatever. It was probably, average.
I do feel like I played it very safe intentionally. I wanted it all to be very accessible right down home plate because, again, for beginners. So you guys go ahead and pick rye. It's bourbon on a budget, not rye on a budget. Go ahead and do your dumb ryes.
Oh,
Gentleman Jack. I mean, man,
it's ridiculous. So I went to ABC's website, and which, if you're not listening in the state of Florida, ABC is Florida only, correct? I don't think they've gotten outside of Florida, but Florida only. And I tried to just pick up, things from there. That way I was kind of staying standard on price. So I have the actual ABC listed MSRP, which you could go pick all of these things up for. My first one, and this is heavily influenced because of a book I just finished today. The book is called Bourbon Empire. I picked just standard Jim Beam at $13.99 a bottle. Jim Beam gets laughed at and scoffed at. I can see Ben raising his eyebrows right now. Jim Beam is kind of like Brendan was talking about with his Evan Williams, just a classic bourbon. It's not going to knock your socks off. There's nothing amazing about it. We look at things that are on the lower parts of shelves, and we just kind of immediately pass over them because they're so readily available. But you go other places in the world, and they absolutely just jump at Jim Beam. The price is 2 to 3 times higher because other cultures want to pay more for things they like. So Jim Beam kind of gets the bad rap here. It's the cheap bourbon that everybody can kind of go and grab, but it's not a terrible option. And because I just finished that book, my cheap bourbon was going to be somewhat romanticized with James Beam, who did so much for this drink that we all love. Jim Beam at $13.99 is my first one. I'm getting into the rye category after that. I went with Old Overholt Straight Rye, which is not, I'll just say, of all the ryes, it's not fantastic. I know that's a terrible selling point to start out with it. It's not going to be a fantastic sipper. You can, though, and I think it's a good entry into rye to see if you like that spice flavor. It's not the most complex rye. It's not the absolute hottest rye where you're getting something that's 120 proof, but it's a good, cheap entry into rye to see if you like that spiciness. If you don't like the spice that comes from that, understanding that you're buying something that's pretty entry level, it's probably not your time to go down the rye path yet. And so it's a good way to try a rye, see if you like it. If you do, great. If not, makes a great old fashioned, or it makes a great Manhattan, and you can kind of go that direction with it. It's a good mixer. If you try it and you say I don't like the rye as much, I don't like the spice, throw some syrup in it, throw a sugar cube in it, make an old fashioned, make a Manhattan. You'll like it for that reason. So $17.99 is what that retails at. After that, we reviewed it last week. Wild Turkey 101. I originally had Old Forester 100 here, but I went ahead and switched to Wild Turkey 101. Just their straight bourbon for a couple of reasons. One, it's a good sipper. We all rated it really high last week. Ben gave it his highest rating so far. I rated it high. Brendan rated it. I think Brendan was a 6.5, so a little bit lower, but we all said it was an above average value bourbon that was also pretty good. Ben gave it a 7.5. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Cheap, $22.99 is what ABC.
I gave it a 7. That's blasphemous. I love Wild Turkey 101.
Oh, sorry. I'll take that back. Brendan gave it a 7. $22.99, Wild Turkey 101, a good sipper, also a great mixer to have something that's up over 100 proof that you're going to dilute down either by putting it on the rocks or putting it in an old fashioned. Kind of runs the gamut. You can do either one there. $22.99 there. My last bottle. Maybe last bottle. Maker's 46 for $36.99. We're going a step up from Brendan's Maker's Mark, and we're going with their Maker's 46. Everything that Brendan said that was good about just regular Maker's Mark, this is better. Okay, so just listen to his again, back up the tape, hit the skip back button, and mine is better. Now it's $10 more a bottle, $36.99, but it's worth it. Like Maker's 46, like the little bit of a step up. It's going to be a little bit hotter than just his regular Maker's will be, but it's going to have a little bit more character. It's going to be a little bit better developed. There's a reason it sells at $10 more. The wax is the same. The bottle's very similar, but Maker's 46 is my fourth bottle. I had some money left over. I had roughly $7 left over.
Ooh.
So instead of just throwing that money out the window like Brendan did, I completed the assignment. I got a $2.99 airplane bottle of Jack Daniels so that you can taste that sour mash Tennessee whiskey flavor. And I got a $4.49 airplane bottle of Woodford Reserve, also on Brendan's list.
I thought there could only be 4. It's bull crap.
I had extra money. I took advantage of that extra money. I'm sorry that you failed the test. I bought small airplane bottles with that. I think if you had $100 and you were walking into Total Wine or ABC or just wherever and you had a little bit extra, you'd probably go ahead and just spend that on an airplane bottle of either whatever you wanted. But I'd say to get Jack Daniels so you can try that, probably throw it out because I don't think it's very good. And the Woodford Reserve, which is the classic drink in Kentucky. It's the Kentucky Derby drink. It's everything else. So with my total coming to $99.44, I'm open to hear you guys' praise.
Brendan, what do you got?
Well, there's obviously some overlap, right? We got the Woodford Reserve, definitely. Jack Daniels, you went with the lower end of the Jack Daniels. Gentleman Jack is one up from it, but you went with the higher end Maker's Mark. So it's funny, we were very similar, although you had like 6 different bourbons to choose from. It's a very spicy group, TJ. I'll say that you got the old Overholt, which I've had before and actually okay with, given that I don't love Rise. So that's a spicier one. The Wild Turkey 101 spicier too. And then the Maker's 46 is finished with the oak staves, and that kind of takes the normal Makers and spices that up too. So what I will say is if someone doesn't like any of the bourbons that you've provided, the ability to make a good Manhattan exists for all of those, which is valuable.
And I think you and I both kind of run the gamut with going, yeah, well, I went a little more, I think, eclectic, but from straight bourbons like Woodford and Jim Beam to like spicy stuff like rye and the high proof like Wild Turkey and the very different Jack Daniels, the wheated, the Maker's 40. If you don't like any of these, maybe stick to vodka. Maybe bourbon and brown liquor is not your thing. Ben, any thoughts on mine before we let you tear down the house with yours?
Yeah. So it sounds like to me, you spent $50 buying 2 bottles that you like and then setting the other $50 on fire. Because you're going to have those 2 bottles sitting on your cabinet for about 3 years because no one wants to drink it and neither do you. And, if you're drinking out of, airplane bottles, that's depressing. That is a nightmare. We talked about it in episode 2, drink bourbon with people you like. And you ain't sharing no airplane bottle with people you like. You're drinking that by yourself.
TJ thought
alone.
He was slick with the little extra airplane bottles, and then Ben just like deducted points from him for that.
So the one defense I'll have is I didn't know that this assignment was for us to buy bourbons that people could share with others. I thought this was how to get somebody new into bourbon. So my idea was to give them the most eclectic and the widest variety of different things. Airplane bottles are not the widest variety of different things that they could try. And so that was my thought with it. Not what are people sharing with. I mean, I hope they're not sharing Evan Williams 1783 with people. So
how dare you?
So
it's small batch. That means something.
Means nothing.
Small
batch means nothing.
I didn't think the assignment was to find, Pappy and share it with somebody you loved. I thought it was like, get yourself into bourbon, try things that are new.
Ben, you thought wrong. That's fine.
Let's tear yours apart. Ben,
all right,
go ahead.
Let me show you.
This sucks. Whatever you say.
Let me show you my approach here. Okay, so I wanted to set you guys up for the best 4-pack for $100. That was the assignment, right? So I'm going to get you all in Kentucky, everything that you can drink neat, and then a lot of that you can mix, and it'll still stand up to any kind of mixer you want to throw in because it's all a little bit higher proof than the minimum 80. So number 1, TJ, this is probably one of the best bottles you chose. Wild Turkey 101. We reviewed it last week. There's a reason why it was my highest rated bottle so far. It's because it's amazing. 101 proof, $22. How do you pass that up? So number 1, Wild Turkey. 101.
I'm waiting for him to put it on the back shelf there and miss, and for the bottle to break.
Nope.
Okay.
Not gonna happen.
See.
Number 2, Old Forester 100 Rye. Amazing and old fashions. This is the bourbon version, but the rye is very similar price, and it's great. If you don't like it, too much spice for you, not a problem. Mix it in. It's 100 proof. Make a little old fashioned out of it. It's 100 proof. It's gonna hold up. It's not gonna be like water. That's right, Brendan, Mister. I'm gonna go low proof the entire time. 100 proof. Number 3, Four Roses small batch. What are you guys talking about? Great bottle shape. Everyone knows this. It's on every single one. It's not the bottom of the barrel. It's not the yellow label. It's one up. This small batch, like Brendan was saying, his 1669 whatever Evan Williams bullcrap. Nah, Four Roses all the way. And then finally, we're going to go into the legal terms. Bottled in bond. We're going Old Granddad, bottled in bond, distilled by TJ. Who is that? That's right, Jim Beam. Fun note: the old guy on the front of Old Granddad, bottled in bond is anyone know?
Jim
Anyone
Beam.
know?
Jim Beam.
Wrong. Very wrong. Not even close. It is Basil Hayden.
Ah.
Also trash.
The same mash bill that is in Basil Hayden for $40 at 80 proof is the same mash bill you're getting in Old Granddad bottled in bond for $20 less at 100 proof. Let me just say that one more time. The same mash bill that you get in your $45 Basil Hayden, please do not buy. Not good. Not good. You get it in the bottled and bond version of Old Granddad at 100 proof for $20 less. You spend all that money for $100, you're sharing it with all your friends. Everyone else is going out and buying even more bourbon. Maybe some of the ignorant kids will go out there and buy, Evan Williams, 69, whatever. None of that, because you got your best
Nice.
4-pack.
Nice.
Brendan, I'll let you
Yeah.
have the floor first, but tell me about Ben's pack here.
I don't even know where
the
to
best.
begin with it.
It's the best pack. Sorry.
Weren't you just drinking the Four Roses the other day and just dumping all over it? Or
No.
I was
am
gonna
I
say,
getting-
I was gonna say, he said it's not the yellow label, it's not the bottom of the herb, it's a small batch. I said, I was thinking in my mind, based on the way you were describing it last night when you were drinking it, that means it's only a small bit better than than the yellow label. Like,
I have a
Just
funny
pull the receipt.
story.
How
I
many
have a
how many
full
comments
receipt.
on our Twitter said that it's the best? Okay, thank you.
how many of your comments said that it was the best?
This is not a pack for me. This is a pack
Ben's pack is okay. It's not great. So maybe I understood the assignment wrong, which happened often in school. So I was thinking this was for a newbie. I don't like that the newbie has to drink a bunch of 100 proof type stuff. I did have one in mind, but I think that that's gonna be tough for somebody that's getting into bourbon. That's kind of the one criticism I would have. The plus would be that you do have, I think, 3 really good bottles in the Wild Turkey 101, the Old Forester 100, which is also a really good one. And then between the other 2, you've got another good bottle between them. I don't think either one of them stands up as being like amazing by any means, but the small batch is fine. And the small batch, I probably give it a hard time because I like the single barrel so much. And then the Old Granddad. Brandon, I saw you waving over there. What are your thoughts?
I was trying to do it subtly as to not
That's all right. I
draw
like
attention
calling
to
you
it.
out for
That's,
waving you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Hi, hello. I think Ben's. So I like all of those choices individually. I haven't had the Old Forester 100 Dry, but I love the Old Forester 100. I don't know what took me so long to discover that. It was like only a month ago, and it was amazing. I almost put that on my list here. I think Ben's list is like $100 intermediate list. Like it seems a little bit more complex for what a beginner would be. Is what my initial response is. With the Wild Turkey 101 for both you guys, we talked about that last week. Like, would we recommend that for like a newbie? Maybe. We were on the fence with it. Not as much as like I think the Russells is a little bit more accessible drinking wise, more palatable, more friendly than say the Wild Turkey 101 is. And so yeah, so that would be the first and really like the only main criticism I have is like it may be challenging for someone who's just like just getting into bourbon with all the proof there.
I will
think a lot of
counter.
I think a lot of bins. I'll add to that, and then I'll let Ben counter. I think a lot of bins would end up for a new person being mixers. I think they'd all be quite a lot for a new person. The Four Roses excluded. The other three would be pretty tough for that new person. Ben, defend yourself.
I will
And your
counter.
terrible pack.
I will counter with what I call upward mobility for whenever you feel like you're ready to move on up the chain, right? Then you're ready to rip with your all 100 proofs. But if you say to yourself, these are a little too spicy for me, these are a little too much alcohol, you just pour your first drink that you think, oh, I'm going to try this neat. It's a little too spicy. Not a problem. Too much alcohol. You just add a little bit of water. And then you'll realize, oh, wait, this is literally what everybody else does to get 80 proof. So you just add some water, and then you get 1 liter instead of 750s, right? So you get a liter of alcohol for the same $100. There you go, guys. Hashtag bourbon on a budget. You're welcome.
Hashtag butt. Is that what he said?
That is what he said. Clearly, he's had too much 100 before we got on the pod tonight. I liked the defense there. I still don't like the pack, but I liked the defense for sure.
Yeah.
So we have our 3 packs. Ben, you're the only one that didn't give prices. Can we get some prices for yours?
Yeah.
Just like a total retail's fine.
Right. So I came out at $99.
Okay.
Old Forester rye. Yeah. Everything was back $99 at the end of the day.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we didn't have to go through each one of them. As long as we're trusting you on this. But I think that sounds right. Like the Old Forester and those are both under 25. I know that the small batch is a little bit more, but yeah, I think it all kind of.
The most expensive one is the Four Roses small batch. Right. Personally, it's not my favorite of the pack, but it's widely regarded by everyone else that it's a decent bottle of bourbon. So that's why I threw it in there. It's a good sipper, and it's the lowest proof. It's actually 90. I think it's 90 proof. Yeah, 90 proof.
And you get what you pay for. So my strategy, if you couldn't tell, was to go with one bottle that I liked a lot that would be really, really good, kind of expensive, $37. I think I had, how much is the small batch? I think my Maker's 46 is the most expensive bottle of everyone's pack.
Yeah.
Which I was able to accomplish by having 2 sub $18 bottles, the Old Overholt Rye and the Jim Beam. So that kind of factored into it a little bit. If I'd have knocked Maker's 46 down to something like a regular Maker's, I could have pulled the other 2 things up a little bit. You know, I think I saved, I don't know. There's a massive difference between Evan Williams and Jim Beam. I saved like $3 or $4 there. It was kind of my approach to that. Ben obviously wanted to stick around that 100 proof. And so we found a way to do it with things that would light a new person's head on fire.
It's not 130 proof. It's 100 proof. It's bottled and bond. The government regulates 100 proof.
Is there anything that you were considering that you really did want to add to your list, but you couldn't? Brendan, go ahead.
In the realm of what Ben had, I just couldn't make the numbers work, and I was so close to it, but it was the bourbon that made me fall in love with bourbon, be like, yes, I can drink this neat. I am going to start collecting, and that was Four Roses single barrel.
Yeah.
And if you guys let me use the freaking Costco price, which is accessible in my area all the time at $38, I would have gotten it in. It would have been perfect. But most people are probably going to have to find it like at $45 or so. So I just couldn't fit it in 100. I should have just gone over 100 by $3 or $4 and just like made this a TKO kind of deal. Four Roses single barrel is delicious. Funny story. I actually tried the Four Roses single barrel at a bar, the Market Square Liquors Lounge. Maybe they want to sponsor us. I don't know. And I didn't know what it was. The guy poured it for me. I told him I didn't like Gentleman Jack. I want to try something a little bit more robust.
Hold on. Wait.
What?
Wasn't Gentleman Jack in your pack?
Yes.
Oh,
because I could have. Because I could have.
Just want to confirm.
Because I'm a gentleman, Ben. I'm not trying to scorch everyone's mouths like you are with your 101 proof craziness. But I tried he poured me the Four Roses single barrel. It was delicious. I loved it. I went to ABC a few days later, tried to pick up Four Roses single barrel, but I didn't know in my mind that there was like differences at the time between small batch, single barrel. I got the small batch, Ben's poopy small batch. And you know what? Hated it. And for the longest time, I was like, what happened? I thought the Four Roses was amazing. Then I got a single barrel one day. That was the difference. Delicious. So that was the one I really wish I could have gotten in there. I couldn't make it work.
I'm
I
kind
would
of with
agree.
you. I'm with you on that single barrel. I'll say something else because I don't want to copy you. I'd have added anything from High West. You can find High West Double Rye, High West American Prairie for $34 to $37.
Yeah.
I didn't go with that because I wanted the Maker's 46 to be a little bit different. Like I'd already gone with the bourbon, I'd already gone with a rye. I wanted the wheated bourbon to be something a little bit different on people's palates. But if I could have, made the double rye work or the American Prairie from High West, I would have. We will eventually review both of those good budget bourbons that you can find for lower. We also, and I'll let Ben go now, we also talked about, we wanted to like kind of stick to like one or two stores, like Ben used Total Wine and ABC. Yes, I could have used where I know I can get Buffalo Trace for $25 when it's available. I could have used where I know I can get Costco this or that. But by the time you drive to 4 stores, you may have just spent $120 at one store because the gas that you've wasted has far surpassed that and your time and everything else. Ben, was there anything that you had to leave off that it hurt you to leave off?
I would have really enjoyed Rare Breed at $45.
Yeah.
I think it beats the Four Roses single barrel at the same price point. But
Not for a beginner, Ben. It's 115 proof. You're gonna kill someone.
But at $100 total, I couldn't fit it in. My goal was to at least get 4 distilleries all in Kentucky. And I also wanted to throw a bottle and bond there just because of the governmental designation. I also thought about Old Tub because it's $20. It's Jim Beam, which is also, what I went with Old Granddad. I like the approach that it's the same. That Old Granddad was the same mash bill as Basil, which is like $40. So my thought process was like, some beginner would probably grab a bottle of Basil Hayden, and I could save them $20 and get them a little higher proof was my goal. So I thought about that. I definitely thought about High West, but since I was trying to stay in Kentucky, that kicked them out. So yeah, I also really thought about Elijah Craig small batch at 27, but it's not my favorite bottle. I feel like I would prefer the Four Roses small batch over the Elijah Craig. So that's why I went with that. But those are all secondary contenders, runner-ups, honorable mentions, that kind of stuff.
Elijah Craig small batch was in heavy contention for me, but Ben kind of pooped on it earlier this week in the group text and made me very self-conscious about possibly including that. But maybe he was doing that as like a psych out method, and it worked.
Yeah, I thought for sure Ben would include Old Tub. He is so proud of that bottle every time I go over to his house. In fact, like we've got really great stuff. We'll probably drink on Friday night. He'll probably start with Old Tub. And I'm like, what are we doing here? So I'm shocked you left that off your list. Okay, let's vote here. This probably won't work out for me or for anyone. It'll probably just end in a 1-1-1 tie. So let's vote. You can't vote for yourself. Brendan, between mine and Ben's, whose pack are you going with?
Oh, you're going to make me pick first and put me on.
I don't care. Ben, go first between me and Brendan. Who are you picking?
So I'll go first. TJ, you go last. I'm going Brendan. I thought his pack was better.
Okay. Brendan, why? Short justification. You don't have to spin. We've all dissected these.
Yeah, I thought you had 2 good bottles and then 2 bottles that you'll never drink. That was my main concern.
Okay.
There's 2 that I would never drink.
In all fairness, the 1783 has been sitting in my cabinet for a very long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about the same, but Brendan.
But I got into it later into my bourbon journey. Whatever. I think for someone begin. No, I'm not justifying it. I think I would enjoy Ben's more for right now today. If someone was to bring me a gift basket of bourbon, I'd be really stoked to get everything that Ben's bringing in. But if I'm thinking for the context of someone who's maybe had only 2 or 3 bourbons in their life before to start to collect, I think I would go with TJ's. It's a little bit more eclectic and I think just more accessible. I think just the proof is a little bit lower. You get the quintessential bourbon with the Jim Beam. I like that you went with the Maker's 46. It was close, but I think TJ's fits more within the idea of beginner.
Yeah, I think I'm going to vote for myself as well. And all right, guys, that's all the time we have for tonight. I hope you had a wonderful evening. Don't forget to tip your waitresses. Yeah, my logic probably follows Brendan, which maybe he did that to set me up. if I was going in, I guess we need to really go back and look at those texts from late last week to see what the assignment truly was, because my understanding of the assignment was it was for a beginner. If I was going to get this pack for myself, Ben's pack would beat Brendan's without a doubt. If I was recommending a person that's new into bourbon to go and get this, I would vote for Brendan's pack.
1783 all up in your face, son.
I feel like you guys way underrate the ability of our listeners to drink anything more than 90 proof.
No, it's going to take it and throw it all over the place. Bad idea. All right.
I am super excited that I didn't get 0 votes like Ben did.
Oh my god! Okay.
But Ben's collection, like I'm looking at it, and I really want to try the Old Forester 100.
Well, here's what I think is going to happen. I think when we post this and I post the 4 bottles, and say vote for which one you think is better, people aren't going to read and understand that it's for a beginner, and they're just going to vote for Ben. So
all the people who are already bourbon, all the people who are bourbon fans already.
Our listeners need to vote. And they will determine the true winner.
The intermediate starter pack, you win, Ben. Good job.
New people are not going to know that they like ours more. They're just going to see which one has the most votes and vote for that one. So Ben will win this. It'll be a sham.
I agree. I'll win.
There will be a massive 2 a.m. spike in Ben's votes that came out of nowhere, and it'll be contested for months. But
it'll be a bot.
It'll be a bot. Ben will code a bot to make sure he wins this. But anyway, Brendan, congratulations on winning this. Like Whose Line Is It Anyway? This means nothing. And
I thought
life has not been enriched because of it.
Something. Playing it safe like that pays off, kids. Don't ever try. Don't ever do anything crazy. Just straight and narrow. That's the way to succeed in life.
Speaking of succeeding in life, pursuits and purchases, our favorite segment of the week. Trademark, register, trademark, copyright, all those things.
Patent pending.
Patent pending. No, it's good. It's good. The government is quick. They did those things in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Brendan, get us started here. Pursuit and purchases.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of the timeline we're recording. I'm not going to overcomplicate things. I've wanted to try Redbreast 12 cask strength for a really long time. It's around St. Patrick's Day. I want to get into my Irish whiskey. I know it doesn't count as bourbon, but we're going to talk about whiskey here. I love Redbreast 12. It's my favorite Irish whiskey that I've tried to date. It's just quintessential, awesome Irish whiskey. So that was a pursuit that I had, but I went out to the store and I purchased the 12 cask strength. I wanted to try the new small batch cask strength, which is apparently limited edition, but a little birdie told me that maybe that limited edition one isn't going to be a limited edition. Maybe that's going to replace the age statement 12-year cask strength. Either way, I got it. It's in my collection. You guys might be enjoying it in a week or so from now. I don't know the timeline, but I got it. I pursued. I purchased. I'm very happy. It's going to be a great St. Patrick's Day for me.
Is that all you bought? Did you buy anything else? Have you bought anything else recently?
Well, I bought something for you guys.
Whoa!
That you're gonna buy from me, I think is how we're gonna work this out.
Oh, I thought
it was a gift.
I thought it was a gift.
I thought it was.
I don't mean to put you on the spot live, but like I thought it was a gift.
It was definitely a gift.
This is awkward. Well, I mean, the little mini bottle I was gonna give you guys was gonna be a gift. I think
the airplane bottle.
The big bottle, yeah.
So can you pour our gifts first, and then we'll buy what's left? Like, because once you pop the top, it's like driving a car off the lot. Like, it's just not the same.
Daddy, and I'm gonna call myself Daddy in this sentence because this is worthwhile. No, when you hear it, you're gonna be like, "All right, Daddy, Daddy's appropriate."
That sounds like a nightmare.
Sounds inappropriate to me.
Smoke Wagon. Maybe you've heard of it. We've talked about it a couple times here on the show. It's the hot thing in the bourbon world, and everyone's like, I want to get some of that small batch, which is incredible. But the uncut, unfiltered is the real gem that people are trying to get. You're seeing it like at $100, like secondary right now. Daddy got it for you guys at $57. Bottle should be in the mailbox. Like for me, in a week or so, TJ, when you come up to Tallahassee, it's yours. Daddy says you're welcome.
Let's roll. We will pay you for that. Ben, make sure you get his Venmo and pay him.
Or you can just call me Daddy right now and you don't have to pay for it. We can decide whether you guys want to do that or not.
How much is that worth?
Is Pops
Please?
okay? Is Pops okay?
No, it's got to be Daddy.
No, I'll pay. That's not worth it.
Ben, please save us. What are you pursuing and purchasing recently?
Yeah. So since TJ got me the rare breed rye last week, I've been pursuing anything Michter's barrel strength. Since most of you guys are convinced that, beginners can't drink anything over, 60 proof, I go for the barrel strength stuff. So it's not super easy to find. And so I've been trying to find it and without success so far. Been to a couple liquor stores, and I think it's just probably going to be a kind of a lottery system, raffle kind of style acquisition. So we'll see.
What would you pay, Ben, for the Michter's I think it's the toasted rye. Does that sound right? Cast strength, or is it just the it wouldn't be toasted and rye? It would just be the rye cast.
So they do have
right there.
So Michter's has Michter's toasted rye, and then Michter's toasted rye cast strength or barrel proof, right?
I think I saw the latter. I got to check for you, but I think I saw it at a local shop. But
you didn't see it. You didn't see it.
I'm gonna check my phone here, but it was like $200, which seems a little high.
I will say that's lower than secondary, and we can have a conversation off air about that. But
I can try to talk them down. I've done it before. If you're
pay retail. If it's toasted barrel, I would prefer like either just a straight bourbon cast strength. I mean, or barrel proof. TJ loves a toasted barrel. I like it too. So either one. If you can talk it down a little bit, great. But I really prefer to pay MSRP retail, baby.
Daddy's got this. Don't worry.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. I recently purchased a High West barrel pick of American Prairie Bourbon. It was a blend that was finished in sherry casks, finished 8 months. It's a collaboration by Burns, a steakhouse here in Tampa, and Corona Cigar. Fantastic. I popped it last Friday when I got it, added it to my High West collection, which I believe I now have 9 or 10 High West bottles, so I love them. I love the finishes. We'll do an entire episode one day on finishes, things that have been aged in bourbon barrels and then finished in a different kind of barrel for a certain number of months. I love it. I love what it does for it. It kind of increases that sweetness, makes it a little bit smoother. Really, really good. I don't know that I'm pursuing anything right now. I had a bottle of Yellowstone single barrel at Burns, which was really, really good. I'm sorry, not at Burns, at Davidoff Cigar, which is Corona Cigar. That was really, really, really good. And I'd like to get a bottle of that, but it's like $65 and I really just don't want to spend the money. So we'll see if I end up with that or not, but that's not like a hard pursuit. That's just do I want to pay the money for it? $54 for this one though. $54 for a High West finish. Limited release, really, really good. Regular High West can be anywhere from 35 to 40. So only paying like $15-20 more for that for a finish, I think is worth it. It really does improve the quality of just regular American Prairie that much, in my opinion. That's it for Pursuit and Purchase. Any thoughts there before we wrap up?
You're a High West whore, which is fine, TJ. That sounds delicious. So it sounds really intriguing. Maybe a sample makes its way up to Tallahassee.
You have to call him Daddy.
Yeah, sure. I don't care. You guys have your standards. Daddy, can I have a free sample, please?
Oh my gosh.
Send Daddy that other bottle and you can have a free sample.
This is a weird episode.
They've all been weird. I mean, we started out drinking rye out of a baby bottle nipple. So what I'll say is, yes, I am a High West whore without a doubt. I have ryes finished in Madeira, rum, Chardonnay barrels. I have an American Prairie finished in Chardonnay. I have a Boo Rye. I have Yippee-Ki-Yay. I love High West. I'm a big fan of almost everything they do.
I think we need to do a High West episode because they do so much different stuff. Let's do it. Let's do it down the road. High West Day.
Absolutely. It might be High West month, knowing how much I love them. I might just have to do 3 solo episodes, and then you guys will be sick of it. And, after that first one. So, what are we previewing this week? Brendan, what are we previewing here? It's going to drop Thursday. Teaser, again, in the biz, they call this a teaser. What are we previewing? Go ahead.
Am I in camera here? Am I in picture? Am I in shot? Can you see it?
You are.
This is Willet Pot Still Bourbon. It is actually like it's a straight bourbon. It's in a pot still, which is really cool here. It's how they allegedly make their bourbon. There's some discrepancy on whether it's sourced or not. It depends on when you're getting it, but it's in a really cool bottle. It's about $40 to $60. It's a fairly polarizing bourbon, so we're going to get into it in a couple days here. It's gonna be fun.
Excited to chat about Willet. Lucky for us, we're going to get into it right now. Like literally as soon as we finish this podcast and sign off. You guys will have to wait till Thursday when it comes out. If you can, and you're listening to this, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's all Bourbon on a Budget. Instagram and Twitter, the actual handles are Bourbon Budget. You can see more of what we're drinking throughout the week. You can see different parts of our collection, different things that we may be sipping on. We try to keep this show pretty true to the name, Bourbon on a Budget. We haven't reviewed anything super crazy just yet, but we do kind of get into some fun stuff on the side, and we like posting about those things. So if you could follow us there, we would appreciate it. If you could like, rate, review, subscribe, all those things wherever you are watching or listening, whether that be YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, please, we would appreciate that as well. Appreciated hanging out with you guys again. Excited to do this every week. I told Brendan and Ben both offline. We do some other podcasts, we do some other things, but it was like 7:30 and I was texting these guys like, man, I don't know if I can hold out till 8. Like, let's get on the horn. Let's pod. So I appreciate doing this with you guys. Excited to be back next week and do it again. Stay tuned for maybe something special next week. We'll see. Don't know. Again, a teaser as they call it the biz. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here, gentlemen?
No. It's called being a good teammate.
I assume Ben has none either because he's busting out laughing at Brandon's awkwardness.
No.
Fellas, it was fun. Cheers.